Welcome to Coin Jive. And I was thinking, let's talk about capital controls and why they may be coming. So what are capital controls exactly? Well, this refers to measures taken by governments or central banks to regulate the flow of money within a country's economic and banking system or with other countries or other economic and banking systems. These controls are typically implemented to stabilize financial markets, manage currency stability or exchange rates, protect the banking sector and a country's economic system, and protect domestic industries. They can take various forms, such as limits on currency usage domestically and abroad, limits on foreign investments, restrictions on currency usage or conversions, or taxes on capital movements. Capital controls are often used during times of economic instability as an attempt to stabilize an economy and to prevent speculative attacks on a country's currency, or sometimes as a desperate last attempt to regain control of a faltering economy or currency. While these measures can be helpful in some cases, they may also limit a population's use and control over their money. They may limit domestic and international investment, stifle globalized trade, disrupt supply chains, damage international relations, and ultimately could lead down the road of economic and political collapse. So, what would something like this look like? We have done a blog article over at thecoinblog.com that goes into great detail, but I wanted to paint one possible scenario of what something like this could look like as an economic system starts to collapse or be reshaped. We can witness a tsunami of economic events. So let's look at a fictional scenario to see what it might look like. First, we might see a bank holiday, and the population might wake up one morning to find that the government has announced a bank holiday. Of course, we are all familiar with the idea of banks being closed on federal holidays, but what we're talking about here is something very different. In fact, we've seen it before in the United States. The bank holiday of 1933 was a week-long suspension of all banking transactions in the United States, beginning on March 6th and ending on March 13th. President Franklin D. Roosevelt declared the holiday to prevent bank failures and restore confidence in the financial system. So that might be a first hint that something serious is afoot, as they say. And as we move through this bank holiday, we may start to see news reports of banks starting to fail, people crowding around ATM machines to no avail because they're empty or not working, public anger and lashing out from fear of having no access to money, violence in the streets, and the inevitable government efforts to restore peace and safety. And then from there, we may see public safety lockdowns. In an attempt to restore peace and safety, the local governments might issue a shelter-in-place order and ask all residents to remain in their homes until order has been restored. Of course, only the law-abiding citizens will comply, and the chaos will only worsen as the streets are patrolled by marauding gangs intent on finding and taking whatever they might need or want. Then, after that, we might see on the news that the federal government has issued an announcement that a temporary solution to the banking crisis has been found. Deposit tokens. Each person in the country will be able to sign up for a FedNow digital account where they will be given a certain number of tokens that can then be used as a form of currency until a more permanent solution is available. And that may go on for several months, and things might seem like they're getting back to normal. People can go to the store, and even though they can't buy what they want, maybe they can buy at least what they absolutely need using deposit tokens from their FedNow account. But then eventually the Federal Reserve will announce good news. The central bank digital currency is now ready for issue, and the deposit tokens in your FedNow wallet will automatically be converted into digital dollars. Of course, there's no way to know how much money you had in the bank before the collapse, so everyone will start with the same number of digital dollars just to be fair. But then there are going to be people that don't like that system, so they're going to want to barter and trade in gold and silver and alternate currencies and things. And so the central bank, the Federal Reserve Bank, the Department of Treasury, etc., the IRS, will have to outlaw all forms of alternate money or currency and make it a felony to own gold or silver or alternate currencies, make it a felony to barter or trade. And they'll give you 3 months to turn in your gold and silver and paper money left over or anything else, and they'll give you 10 cents on the dollar in Fed dollars in the new central bank digital currency. Well, clearly this is a very concerning scenario and hopefully not one that we would ever see, but what if we did? What can we do? What should we do? In the event that such a scenario arose, it would be very difficult to know how to navigate the initial chaos, followed by what many would call the beast system. We would all find ourselves in a position of helplessness and fear, and our response would depend to a great extent on our level of preparedness beforehand. Had we foreseen such a scenario and made appropriate plans to mitigate the impact on ourselves, our families, and our communities? And all things in life, whether it be capital controls and economic collapse, it's better to always be proactive rather than reactive. So given the current world conditions, should we not all be giving serious thought to the different possible scenarios that we might be facing in the coming months and years? And then take reasonable actions to plan for them. That's what I was thinking. Be interested to know what you're thinking on the subject. Leave it in the comments. And I hope that you enjoyed this segment and that you join us for the next Coin Jive to find out what we're thinking.